Before global superstars, before social media fame, before football became a billion-dollar empire, a poor boy from Brazil, who became football's first global king. A player so extraordinary that wars stopped to watch him play. A player who made millions cry with joy. A player who transformed football into art. This is the story of Pelé, the rise, the pain, the glory, and the immortal legacy of the greatest footballer the world had ever seen. Pelé was born as Edson Arantes do Nascimento on October 23, 1940, in Três Corações, Brazil. Brazil at the time was a country drowning in poverty. His family had almost nothing. His father, João Ramos do Nascimento, known as Dondinho, was a footballer whose own dreams had been destroyed by injury. His mother, Celeste Arantes, struggled constantly to keep food on the table. Sometimes there wasn't enough money for proper meals. Sometimes there weren't shoes. Sometimes there wasn't hope. But there was football. Young Edson fell in love with the game before he could fully understand life itself. He played in the streets, on dirt fields, with rolled-up socks tied together because his family could not afford a real football. Barefoot, hungry, dreaming, football became his escape from poverty. But nobody could have imagined that this skinny little boy would one day become the most famous athlete on earth. Nobody truly knows where the nickname Pelé came from. At first, he hated it. Children mocked him with it. But eventually, that strange nickname would become larger than life itself, larger than football, larger than sport itself. As a child, Pelé worked shining shoes and serving tea to help support his family. Yet every free second was spent playing football. His talent was frightening. Even older players were stunned by the things he could do with the ball. His touch, his creativity, his balance, his intelligence. It felt supernatural. Former Brazilian international Valdemar de Brito quickly realized the boy was different from everyone else. And then came the prediction that would change football history forever. This boy, de Brito said, will become the greatest football player in the world. At just 15 years old, Pelé joined Santos FC. The football world would never be the same again. Most teenagers struggle with pressure. Pelé destroyed it. In his very first season, he became one of the league's top scorers. Adults couldn't stop him. Defenders kicked him relentlessly. It didn't matter. He was too quick, too intelligent, too fearless. By 16, he had already debuted for the Brazilian national team. And then came the moment that changed everything forever. The 1958 FIFA World Cup in Sweden. Pelé was only 17 years old, still a child. But destiny was calling. Brazil had never truly conquered the world before. The nation carried deep scars from the traumatic 1950 World Cup final defeat at home. The pressure was unbearable. But then the teenager arrived. Pelé dazzled the tournament with impossible skill, outrageous confidence, and breathtaking goals. Against Wales, he scored the winner. Against France, he scored a hat-trick in the semifinal. And in the final against Sweden, he produced one of the greatest performances football had ever seen. At just 17 years old, one goal in particular shocked the world. Pelé flicked the ball over a defender's head, then volleyed it into the net. It was genius, pure genius. Brazil won the World Cup, and the boy collapsed into tears, carried by teammates, crying uncontrollably. A child had become immortal overnight. After 1958, Pelé became football's first true global icon. Not just in Brazil, everywhere. Europe wanted him desperately. The biggest clubs on earth tried to sign him, but Brazil refused to let their national treasure leave. Pelé stayed at Santos, and Santos became the most famous club team in the world. They toured continents like rock stars. Massive crowds gathered simply to watch Pelé touch the ball. People fainted at stadiums. Presidents requested meetings with him. Some stories even claimed temporary ceasefires happened during conflicts so people could watch him play. He was no longer merely a footballer. He was a phenomenon. But greatness always attracts brutality. Defenders targeted Pelé viciously. They kicked him constantly. Many opponents believed violence was the only way to stop him. At the 1962 World Cup, injury nearly destroyed his tournament. Brazil still won the trophy, but Pelé watched much of it helplessly from the sidelines. Then came the nightmare of 1966. Pelé was hunted across the tournament, fouled repeatedly, kicked mercilessly. The referees offered little protection. Brazil crashed out early, and Pelé, devastated and furious, briefly declared he would never play in another World Cup again. The king had been broken, but legends rise after suffering. By 1970, many believed Pelé was finished. Older, slower, worn down by years of punishment. But Pelé had one final masterpiece left. The 1970 Brazilian team is often called the greatest football team ever assembled. And Pelé was its heartbeat. Calm, wise, magical. Every touch carried elegance. Every pass carried intelligence. Every movement carried authority. In the final against Italy, Pelé scored a towering header that became one of football's most iconic goals. Brazil won 4-1, and Pelé lifted his third World Cup trophy. No player in history has ever won 3 FIFA World Cups. The king stood alone. Forever, Pelé became more than an athlete in Brazil. He became hope itself. For poor children, he represented possibility. For black Brazilians, he represented global pride during an era of racism and inequality. For the entire country, he became a symbol of national identity. His fame exploded beyond sport, movies, music, politics, business. Everywhere he went, chaos followed. Fans screamed, crowds swarmed, governments honored him. Football had never seen anything remotely like this before. Pelé turned athletes into global celebrities long before modern superstars existed. After leaving Santos, Pelé shocked the world by joining New York Cosmos in the United States. Many believed it was only about money, but Pelé had a bigger mission. He wanted America to fall in love with football. And suddenly, stadiums filled, celebrities attended matches, soccer exploded in popularity. Pelé transformed the sport's visibility in the United States almost single-handedly. Even near retirement, he remained magnetic. Every appearance felt historic. Every touch felt sacred. In 1977, Pelé finally retired. His farewell match became an emotional global event. Fans cried openly, because everyone understood they were saying goodbye to more than a player. They were saying goodbye to an era of magic, an era where football felt innocent, joyful, and beautiful. Pelé ended his legendary career with over 1,000 career goals, 3 FIFA World Cups, countless domestic and international trophies, global fame unlike any athlete before him. But statistics alone could never explain him. Pelé was feeling emotion, wonder. He made people fall in love with football. Throughout his life, Pelé received countless honors, among them, FIFA Player of the Century, Honorary Ballon d'Or, FIFA World Cup Best Young Player 1958, inclusion in multiple all-time greatest teams, global humanitarian awards. But perhaps his greatest achievement was something impossible to measure: respect. Across generations, across continents, across cultures, the name Pelé became synonymous with greatness itself. Even today, whenever football debates begin, one question always remains: who is the greatest of all time? And inevitably, Pelé's name enters the conversation, because kings never truly disappear. On December 29, 2022, the world lost Pelé. Tributes poured in from every corner of the planet. Presidents, athletes, musicians, fans, entire stadiums held moments of silence, because football had lost its first immortal. But legends never truly die. Every child playing barefoot in the street, every impossible dribble, every joyful celebration, carries a piece of Pelé's spirit. The poor boy from Brazil became eternal, and perhaps that is the greatest story football will ever tell. He wasn't just football's first king, he was football's heartbeat, a symbol of joy, a symbol of hope, a symbol of impossible dreams becoming reality. From poverty to immortality, this was Pelé, the man who made the beautiful game truly beautiful.